And good day, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back for some more live streaming. And today we're taking a look at Sergeant Mark IV's Alpha Point .01 of Viet Doom. And today I'm joined by
Radic.
Yeah, so we're going to see if we can actually make it through most of these levels. I've already tried it a little bit so far. And yes, I'm playing it on super easy because, well, I'm streaming and I don't want to have to worry about dying of hunger. This is a pretty surprising mod, at least for me, because when I first jumped into it, I thought it was just a, Doom mod with Doom gameplay. I run out there and I immediately get shot in the face and die. Like, immediately. This is definitely much more like a simulator.
It's a slice of humble pie if you go into it thinking you're Doom guy.
Yeah, just a little. This is much more... This is much more of a simulator, like Arma. Well, I wouldn't say Arma, but much more on the simulator end of it. Even though you can only stuff 19 rounds into one of these AR mags, which I don't think is historically accurate.
Well, it was for the time, because remember, 20-round mags plus humidity. You wanted to download them to 19 or 18.
No. I remember, didn't they switch to 30s pretty quick, though?
They did in the later part of the war, but for the most part, 9/10 of the Vietnam War was fought with Colt-issued 20-round mags, which weren't bad, but weren't great. The followers on them were not the most reliable. I mean, for the conditions that we were testing them in, they were fine. For Vietnam, not so much.
So that's the one thing that always kind of surprised me about U.S. weapons procurement. The Soviets had the 30-round AK mag, and those things worked great. Why couldn't we get something similar? God damn it.
Well, it's because we were working with a different follower design. The fact that the 20-round mag, the original ones, they didn't have any curvature to them, so the cantilever of the bullet, or rather the ogive, cantilever does matter a little bit, not much. It's the ogive of the bullet, right where the neck meets.
Oh, crap.
You really don't have it following the curvature. I mean, these days, you can go to Magpul, and even their 20-round mags have a slight curvature to them.
Interesting. I've not actually even looked at 20-round mags, though. Because 30s... Actually, for basic shooting, 30s aren't really that necessary, and I got immediately shot to pieces.
Oh, go for the 30s when you can, but if it, say, for specialist use these days, where you're going prone most of the time, or you need a concealable carbine, yeah, go ahead and consider it 20, and that'll be your main mag while you go with 30s as backups.
Yeah, that way it's a little more compact. And hello, TechStorm, and yeah, fortunate son, we get this video flagged really fast. I just turned off all the music because there was one Doom video I did. This is the easiest difficulty, by the way. The easiest difficulty. I had no idea. No idea. I just thought I'd run in and shoot everything. That is definitely not what you're supposed to do. At all. Not even... And then, food and... Oh yeah, the food really helps. I'm going to save at 22% health. Actually, I think it looks like I was healing a little bit. And the enemy actually has accuracy. This is insane. I hope Sergeant Mark...
It's not changing their accuracy from the original Doom. That would really be tough.
Yeah, because that's hit scan, and this looks like they're projectiles. This reminds me of a Vietnam-era game that I played on the Xbox many, many years ago. I don't remember what it was called, but they had the little green tracers. So you at least had some idea of where the enemy was firing from. I think it was some sort of squad-based game. I remember it was actually pretty good, but I ended up selling it because I wanted more... I wanted, a few pennies for the then-new 360. One of the most hilarious things about the 360 is the very first game I ever bought, I sold literally within 2 days. Because I thought it was the most boring thing ever. I think I'd like it more now, but back then I thought it was just terrible. It was Lost Planet 1. I don't know.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're going to play it now, play it on PC.
It would be a lot easier. But I remember it just being really disappointing. And I don't even know why I got that as my first game for the 360.
Because it was graphically impressive.
But it was like boring as hell. Like it was like less advanced than, from what I remember. Now this is over a decade ago. From what I remember, it's like it felt like it was less advanced than an Xbox game.
A little bit. And I think the game you're thinking of was Conflict Vietnam.
I'll have to look that up on YouTube. That sounds somewhat familiar.
And TechStorm, the original M16 was not bad. It was really... Eugene Stoner's idea for the M16 was very, very solid. It was the government that screwed up. McNamara and his brain trust decided, oh, well, we don't need chrome line bores and chambers, and we can go ahead and switch the propellant to, from ball powder to stick powder. That's perfectly fine. Turns out it wasn't. The idea of not issuing a cleaning kit was also pretty damn dumb.
I think that's probably the worst of it all, though. I mean, like, I think it could have probably survived a little bit with the wrong powder, but not being able to clean it is probably what made it fail the most.
Well, yes and no, because remember, stick powder is corrosive, and you're in a humid environment.
Oh. I did not know that was corrosive, actually. I've not heard that mentioned anywhere. That's why the AR platform has such a kind of a bad... Well, it used to have a much worse rap than it does today.
When I was a kid, it had a horrible reputation.
And now it's been cleaned up a little bit, but you can still see, a lot of the memes talking about how it jams all the time, which isn't really true.
When I was a kid, the reputation was undeserved, because by then, all the McNamara changes had been long since put through. I mean, Vietnam was still a memory for my father and for, a lot of people, but we were entering into an era where, we're fresh off the Rhodesian Bush War, we're fresh off of Argentina and that whole deal with the UK versus Argentinians, and that was something. So he ended up picking up a Colt carbine back then, which I say carbine because it was basically a civilian M16. And because all of McNamara's changes had been, undone, and you could get decent, 5.56 surplus or run 2.23, it was a perfectly serviceable rifle. Now, it still had a problem. I mean, if you...
Oh, crap. Well, I blew myself up.
You shot a lot, your groupings just went everywhere.
I think people still think that when it comes to ARs today, they're the same thing from like 1962, and that's not even remotely accurate.
No, they're actually closer to Eugene Stoner's original vision in terms of function. In terms of form, they're vastly different. They're a lot better.
See, if I use the give ammo cheat, I can actually somehow cram 21 rounds into that mag.
Oh, you could in the real mag, but the thing is, you would risk a jam.
I think that's one thing people also forget is, like, mags are very important. And even AK mags can be crap. I got 5 AK mags when I initially got my AK, one of which doesn't work. I'm actually going to try to fix it myself, but not all mags are created equal.
Oh yeah, for AK mags, you definitely want to try for Circle 10 or Circle 21. Circle 11 is also really nice. Or, go Magpul. And TechStorm, A2, simply because, well, my uncle was USMC. I actually know how to use the A2 sights.
Poise, unmatchable. I'm not sure about that, but thanks anyway. Yeah, I think the earliest AR platform didn't even have a forward assist.
No, it was the Air Force that denied the forward assist, and everybody else wanted it, but Eugene Stoner went before the court saying, he went before the U.S. Senate and the U.S. SCOTUS saying that forward assist essentially just creates more problems than it helps, and he's not wrong, but it does have a purpose.
And yet they all still come with them. Like
yeah, you can't fight City Hall. You can try, but you're generally not going to be successful. Even Mark Westrom, for his AR-10 has to put a forward assist there, otherwise he won't make sales, simply because the people demand it. And on an AR-10, a forward assist is about as useful as a screen door in a submarine.
Or hydrogen peroxide. I've been watching a shitload of naval videos at work, so it's like, oh yeah, if you put hydrogen peroxide, you can potentially like melt your entire sub, apparently. Also, being able to call an airstrike in Doom is utterly insane. Utterly insane! It's like Doom. It's kind of like the AR platform of the video game world. It just keeps getting iterated upon, and it just keeps, goddammit, getting better and better. It's just utterly nutty.
There's something to be said for evolution. Sometimes it can actually give innovation.
Oh, and Textrum, I don't really want to air all my issues in the public square. I probably shouldn't even have said that, but, well, I was a bit distraught at the time. So, yeah. There are people who, like, talk about their entire lives on YouTube. I don't really understand the appeal, but people do it.
If I'm going to start a life blog on YouTube, it's mostly going to be cooking.
God damn it. I need to do some cooking videos again. Just haven't really had the time. As for me, if I was going to get a non-M forgery, I would probably get that one prototype AR that had that charging handle shaped like a trigger. Because I just kind of like the
AR-15 or AR-10, I should say.
Crap.
The trigger charging handle never made it to the AR-15. That being said,
really, it's
actually good, but the problem is that heats up. So you don't want to shoot a lot.
The M14 era, that's got to be heavy.
I have a love-hate relationship with M14.
And the closest I've got is the M1 Garand, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
The M1 Garand I love. The M14 I love and hate simply because I've had to spend so much time. Now, granted, I made money doing this, but I had to spend so much time unscrewing up what Springfield Armory has done and glass bedding so many actions to stocks. It's just the smell of fiberglass resin pretty much is stuck in my head.
Yeah, that's not fun. The one funny thing about the M14 for me, now, for the longest time, I wasn't even really sure what it was. And ironically, I was right, but not for the right reasons. I thought it was like some sort of modern-day version of the M1 Garand, which it is, but that's not really what it was meant to be, in all reality.
Well, it's essentially, let's take the Garand, let's take the BM59, let's, keep the aesthetics, let's lose everything else. I think, I'm going to sound like a heretic here, but I think the Italians got it right when it came to modernizing the Garand with the BM59. Beretta pretty much nailed it.
Well, from what I've seen, it looks pretty good. But I've never even seen one in real life, so I couldn't really say either way. But when it comes to the M1A, or the M14, or whichever way you want to call it, when I was...
There's a different spec. The M14 is a true spec. The M1A is a cast piece, which is an annoyance. Kids, if you're going to get yourself an M14, buy yourself a Beulah M14, preferably with the Rockola stamp on it. Because Rockola makes it 25% cooler.
It sounds great. Because it's got the Ola. Oh, come on, hit him already. But when I was a teenager, I came up with what would later become... Well, okay, I'm not saying Larry Corey ripped me off on this, but I thought of Monster Hunter first. I wanted to create a series of stories fighting monsters, although they were more paranormal than, like, werewolves and crap like that. It's more like... it's more along the lines of, like, ghosts and things of that nature, which apparently, in my teenage brain, you could shoot with an M1A. And it was basically going to...
a blessed one.
You never know. You could, like, raise the spirit of John Moses Browning. You could just, like, give it some magic sauce. I don't think Jim Sullivan was dead yet, so he couldn't really do much.
Tech, I highly advise go to Classic Firearms, look at the Beulah M14s. They're so much better. You'll have, trust me, if you want to make an accurized rifle out of it, you'll save a gunsmith like me so much time and save you so much money.
Oh, it's not going to tell me what I'm supposed to do. How exactly do I destroy this? I'm assuming...
Do you have a thermite grenade?
I don't know. Controls could be... Well, okay, never mind. That's how you do it. I thought you had to do something special, like put like a bomb on it or something. You just throw a grenade. Well, that's easy enough. Weird question, but if you had to defend yourself from a monster like the Wendigo, what would you use and why? Semi-auto 10 gauge. My God, your shoulder will be mush.
No, if you use a Browning, it'll hurt, but it won't be mush. Honestly, I would have to, if I'm going semi-auto 10 gauge with the Browning action, I'm honestly going to go to a machine shop first and get a mag extension made.
Yeah, that way you don't have like 3 whole shells or less.
Yes, actually, TechStorm, they do sell complete Korean War late Korean War, early accurate M14s. You can, Beulah will sell you when they say national match, they mean it. The only thing you have to do is glass bed the action to the stock. And that doesn't take much time. It's just, how do I put this? You could do it yourself, but you're going to need to buy some release agent, or you can hand it off to a smith and they'll do it for you.
Which is something I'd recommend doing because, like, that is not as easy as it sounds. I consider doing it.
It's not terribly hard. It's just, with the M14, you have to basically coat the trigger mechanism and all of the lower end release agent.
I actually considered glass bedding my Mosin, but eventually, after watching a number of videos on it, I just kind of gave up on that idea.
The Mosin's not so hard. It's just, for that, you need to remove the trigger assembly completely, glass bed the action, then come back and sand.
I don't even know if I really need to even do that, because I'm only shooting at 100 yards distant anyway, so...
I would just say enjoy the Mosin Nagant as it is. It's a perfectly fine rifle. It's a lot of fun.
Now, hopefully, sometime this month's already almost over, but hopefully sometime soon I can get a video done on the number 4 Mark 1. I've had that since 2016. Have not been able to actually hit anything with it because of keyholing. Lots and lots of keyholing. I'm actually going to show the target where I learned that I was keyholing to begin with. I actually get, at 50 yards, a bullseye with the keyholed round. It's
still hit on target.
It's pure luck, but it's beautiful. It's just beautiful, because for the longest time, I thought it was the rifle. Like, oh, maybe the throat was eroded to the point where it was inaccurate or something like that. But nope. The ammo I was using was keyholing, and I had no idea that it was. Like, no clue.
Hey, Tech, the reason I rail on the Springfield M1A is the receiver is cast, the trigger assembly is, every part on the gun is completely out of spec for an M14. It's not good. It's a barely held together, essentially it's operating on a hope and a prayer, and it's held together with baling wire, duct tape, and chewing gum.
Well, I'm glad I never had the money to buy that then. Not that I really had much interest in that.
Now, you can fix them, and I have fixed them, a lot of them, but it's a pain in the butt.
And hello, Mr. Blake and Mr. Cox. Mr. Blake and Mr. Cox. That sounds like something from a 1970s detective show.
That or a Man from U.N.C.L.E.
I always wondered, what was the deal with all the detective shows from, like, the 1970s?
It was in demand, and it was relatively cost-effective to make.
It's like everything had some sort of detective thing, and I think there's even, like, a spin-off of Shaft with Isaac Hayes, where originally all he did was sing the theme song, and then he became, like, a detective in the Shaft universe. It was kind of strange. I find it funny that Shaft has endured this long for basically just being a generic detective. I mean, yeah, there was, of course, some groundbreaking elements to it, but yeah, At
It's
this
mostly
point,
attitude. It's a case of the show, i.e., the spectacle, is what you're there for. And Jason, baling wire is essentially as it sounds. It's what you use to hold hay bales together. A tech, there's a lot going on with SHOT Show. PSA is... They're trying very hard to put the entire market on notice.
okay, Corey, that's a good one. That needs to be a thing. That needs to be a
cop show.
Of course, it'll probably have to be like on. It won't be on Netflix. I can guarantee you that because that's too edgy for them. You can only look at people for 5 seconds when you work for them. Yes, that's apparently a rule. And Spoonie ones. It's actually worse now. You know what's funny? More people have heard of me now, like new fans have heard of me than have heard of the Spoonie one. That is just sad. That is just sad. I mean, come on. Well, it makes me feel good
for him.
because he certainly fell into a hole of which he has never recovered. And I personally have never actually shot any really weird firearms in my time. It's all been very pedestrian. Although, I'm sure, Ryan, you've shot something weird, but one thing I do want to mention, though, is I do actually own a Cooey Canadian shotgun. I did not know that I did. Now, for those who aren't Canadian, apparently those are basically some of the most popular firearms there for, like, low-budget things. And I've owned one for years, and I had no idea. It's marked Winchester, but evidently at some point Winchester bought Cooey and just branded it as Winchester.
Yeah, Cooey was actually... It was low cost, but it was chosen because if you're going out hunting, that's really what you want. It's something durable, something reliable, won't tear a hole in your wallet.
It was definitely one of those pawn shop rescues. It wasn't the first one, but it was one that I am particularly proud of. Basically, I got it for next to nothing because it was rusted up and the stock was beat to hell. And also, I think it had like a 32-inch barrel. The end of the barrel was blown out, and there was still mud in there. All you had to do was cut off that end that was blown out, re-blue the barrel, which is pretty easy if you use Ospo blue, and I'm being shot to pieces. Refinish the stock, and boom, you've got a perfectly serviceable 20-gauge shotgun. So,
Tech, Virginia was a big win for us because we completely blew away their narrative. You're going to have some black pillars out there. That's just how it's going to go. Just ignore them, focus on what we're fighting for, and focus on the way to fight, which is at the ballot box.
you're at the top of the
As for Onesian, yeah, he's probably going to end up in jail.
I have no idea who that is.
You're lucky. You're very, very lucky. He's a scumbag.
It's like, who is that? What'd he do?
It's a little bit risque for the stream. I'll fill you in later, because it's not good at all.
Oh dear. Well, at least he's better than that one guy in the Toy Story hat that was making fun of somebody who hung themselves in some Japanese park. There's that.
No, this is about as bad as the Paul brothers.
I don't even know what that is. I don't really.
The Japanese hanging.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was Logan Paul.
Yeah, I had no idea who it was. I just know he was in a Toy Story hat. That's about it. Latest update on the High Point. Oh yeah, I considered getting that Yeet cannon thing, but ultimately I've decided against that. I'm gonna just save up and get that PSA.
Yeah, the PSA 9 dagger actually looks really, really good. That being said, the YC9, buy them cheap and stack them deep because they make good gifts for first-time shooters. And it's a High Point. It's going to be reliable. May not be pretty, but it'll always be reliable.
I always find it funny how, like, a lot of these high-class gun YouTubers just shit on High Point like you wouldn't believe. It is ridiculous. It's almost like they're trying to prove something by, complaining about it. It's like, I've actually owned one at one time, and it was perfectly fine. I bought it.
They're a great intro into firearms because essentially it's inexpensive, it's going to work, it's, you know, not the most, you know, aesthetically pleasing thing, but if you're training a person on fundamentals, function always trumps form.
And ironically, as you say that, I bought it simply because it looked like something from Aliens. Because that looked like, you know, some kind of pistol you could get for like really cheap on like some sort of corporate held world. It looked like something that Weyland Yutani would create. Like it's
much
cheap mercenaries. And I just had to have it. One of these days I'm going to get me a VP 70, I think is what it was. That was in Aliens.
Yeah, I'll warn you, the trigger on that, it's about... I've got staple guns with better triggers.
Yeah, I've heard about that, but honestly, I would be buying it just because it was in Aliens. It's not like I'd be buying that for any sort of practical purpose, because...
Oh, it's accurate. It's just, crap, you gotta get over that trigger. That's the only thing I can knock it on, is the trigger. And the KSG, I've shot it extensively. I rather enjoy it, although I personally will be getting a KS7, simply because I like lightweight.
Called the cops on Chris Hansen. What?
Yeah. Chris Hansen appeared in front of Onision's door, and he basically called the cops on him because he was claiming Chris Hansen was stalking him.
Oh. And Chris Chan, I don't know, Chris Chan's really kind of a nobody at this point. I did a 3-part video series on him, and I uploaded a grand total of 1 video, and it blew up way bigger than I would have liked it to have. And the reason I say that is it's like, that video took no effort. No effort! And yet people watched it. Why, I ask you? It's some guy with mental illness. People still talk about him to this day, long after he has ceased to have any relevancy whatsoever. It's a guy who is weird.
The entire reason is Schadenfreude.
It's just, I don't understand the kids these days. They don't make any sense to me.
DP-12, it's not bad. It's a fun range gun, but damn, that thing is heavy.
That's why you need power armor.
No, you don't need that. It's just, if you're using it for anything outside of range use, eat your Wheaties and be sure to do your push-ups.
Now, speaking of power armor, there was something at SHOT Show where I think it was AR-500 had this guy dressed in like this Mandalorian kit. I don't know if it was actually good for anything, but it looked really cool.
Actually, there is somebody making a pseudo-Mandalorian style helmet, which is practical. AR-500's big push, though, is polymer armor, which it's about time because between Angel Armor and other companies, that's the big push, is making level 3 plates lighter.
Armor really has come a long way since even I was a kid, because when I first started looking at body armor, got me a PPSH. I've always loved this thing, even though it's really obsolete. It's just cool to have, you know, something with like 72 rounds in a magazine. It's like, holy crap, that is like the epitome of bullet holes. Yeah,
that being said, take a look at the Ruger PC9 in the Archangel stock. It actually, with a drum magazine, it actually looks like a modern day sci-fi Peppa Shaw.
I do like the sounds of this. This actually could be a game that someone could sell for money. I mean, Sergeant Mark IV has really kind of outdone himself with Viet Doom here. I still don't get why Vietnam is still such a big deal after all these years, though.
Because it was our first big loss in a war that we were not prepared for. It was also very, very controversial in the fact that the entire war was on a trumped-up reason because of the Gulf of Tonkin incident. There's a lot of lessons we learned from Vietnam.
I guess it is much more of a morally gray kind of thing, not like Korea and things of that nature. Or World War II for the millionth time. I can say I'm glad I was not alive at the time to have to actually go over there, because that sounds absolutely horrific. Of course, the
57 I'm looking forward to.
Of course, the various desert storms and things of that nature in the Middle East don't sound much better.
No, but we had a far lower casualty rate than that. It was essentially, we learned from Vietnam and we changed our fighting doctrine. That's why Vietnam is so important, because it forced us to change.
There's a lot of stuff I've learned recently about that, how, like, to increase recruitment, they dropped the IQ or lowered the IQ requirement, which, yeah, that's not a good idea.
No, we found out very much so. That was a very bad idea. That was one of McNamara's little experiments, and honestly, McNamara is one of the worst influences on U.S. doctrine that's ever happened. Thankfully, most of his choices and decisions have been completely overturned. But the guy was bordering on Josef Mengele levels of bad.
If there's one thing people either don't know or have forgotten about over the years. Let's see, Christian, fascinating video on the VP70.
You can make the VP70 a little bit better with a spring, but you're still going to have that resistance. It'll be a little bit lighter, but you're still going to have that wall to overcome.
Let's see, where was that? The Mall Ninja videos. Gecko 45 and Spec Ops. Okay, those I actually liked. The Christian stuff, I did not. Because, like, the Mall Ninja stuff with, like, that kludged together MP5 that evidently was popular at some point, although I'd never heard of it.
Special weapons, if Todd the Toad Bailey. And there's a story and a half right there.
Were those ever full auto, or do you know?
They did make a few full auto ones. The problem was that every last one he made was absolute, total crap.
I sincerely hope there's a Forgotten Weapons video on one of those at some point, because I think it'd be kind of interesting to see.
You're going to look at a 2-hour-long video with that one if Ian includes all the history.
I'd watch it. I would watch all of that, because that's one of the things I love about today's, the level of knowledge you can get on firearms today is so much more than what it used to be. I mean, that's why, you know, all these myths have persisted throughout the years, because there was no way to know. There was no way to know that, like, the whole M1 Garand clip thing wasn't really a thing. Because, like, you hear that, it's in a gun magazine.
You have to either research or...
Yeah, but for the average person, they're not going to look up all of that, though, because they're not going to care. They're just going to read, they're going to skim something in a gun magazine, they're going to believe it's true. And I'm going to get shot. Yep, I got completely evaporated. It's the same way with the AR-15, although, one thing that's kind of interesting, I read, now I don't know how true it is, but I did read a range report from like 2004 at Gunsight. Evidently, the AR-15 was really choking on the moon dust there.
It can. That's the biggest thing about the AR-15. The dust really, really grinds it. You need to use your dust cover. You need to, you know, if you can, go ahead and buy some, either, this is going to sound stupid, but if you're in transport in a desert-like environment, you need to either take a condom and put it on the end of your barrel and, you know, wrap it up with a rubber band, or you can go out, you can buy USGI barrel covers, which the shoot-through kind. You need to seal that action up, because if you're in convoy, dust will get everywhere, and the dust is enough to choke a V8 engine or the diesel engine of your average Humvee. Now imagine that on your rifle.
See, I wonder if a piston gun will have the same problem with that, though. AK or even a short stroke piston like a SCAR can be just as choked. It's the SCAR even more so because it doesn't have a dust cover. Moon dust can choke a G3, and that is one of the most, if not the most reliable rifle ever made. Modded Chronicles, yeah, that was pretty good. And I have no idea who would vote for that idiot at this point, especially with some of the stuff coming out about him and his various people.
Only the most deluded cultists will.
Well, there's that, and people who just don't care. Because there's a lot of people who don't really look at politics and don't really, well, care. It's like, Bernie,
we call those uninformed voters. That's a big, every bit as dangerous as the malicious voter.
Well, there is that. But you think he'd be a little more sly about about the whole thing, though, instead of like literally having an insane, drooling at the mouth, madman saying, "Yeah, we're gonna burn down the city." Like, at least try to no, we're gonna enrich the people with socialization. There we go. God damn it.
And Eddie, actually, the Vietnam War kind of was fought to enrich fat cats. Eisenhower warned of the military-industrial complex. That's what Vietnam was.
Heal. And hello, Emperor Snake. Or Snoke. I think it's a snake.
Emperor Snake. Which is a lot more preferable because, we're not talking to a giant piece of burnt bacon.
Or as I like to call him, Darth Vader Jr. Stop shooting at me! There's too many of you. This is like, they only do a quarter damage. A quarter damage, and yet they're still just completely evaporating me. It's ridiculous. And I got blown up. Again. Again. Let's see. Yeah, I remember that particular thing, Mr. Blake. The Eddie Blake character from Watchmen was actually pretty well written. I mean, he was still a bad guy, but it was definitely more nuanced. That's the one thing I really liked about Watchmen, was it was such a nuanced movie. I know the comic is even more so, but I've only seen the film. Now, if only... I think it was Joss Whedon who did that? No, it was someone else. I don't remember who did that. Zack Snyder, there we go. Now, if only Zack Snyder could have carried that kind of quality to the DC live action. But, alas, that is not to be. Because pretty much none of those live action DC films have actually been even remotely successful.
And Eddie, here's the thing. They know they're hypocrites. Their entire outlook has to be hypocritical, otherwise their illusion falls apart. You can point it out to them and they will never acknowledge it. That's the thing. They act and operate exactly like a cult.
This is a damn good... I'd go as far to say this is a damn good game in general. Not just a mod. I mean, this is Doom evolved to a point that I've kind of never really seen before. Actually,
it's definitely got a lot of Hot Dog Hill. I appreciate that because that's actually a reference to a paintball park. Yes, I know Hamburger Hill, but Hot Dog Hill was done as a kind of a tongue-in-cheek response to that in the 1980s.
Hey, it works. Although I've never been a hot dog fan, to be perfectly honest.
I'm a beer and brats kind of guy.
It's like the overall flavor to me is just kind of too generic. See, now I want to try to get into some more Vietnam games. This is damn good.
That's just it. Some of them are good, some of them are just not. This apparently is, one of the better ones.
You definitely have to look up that Xbox one, though.
TechStorm, yes. Tracers. M855 Tracer and the earlier Tracer versions will show up as green.
And one thing I didn't know, you can actually get... No, wait, go on.
Go ahead.
You can actually get 38 Special in Tracer as well.
Yeah, it's a training aid. You don't want to shoot too many tracers through your barrel. Save it for like the last 3 per magazine, and you'll be fine.
These guys with squad automatic weapons are just terrible. Now I wonder why there was never like sort of a Medal of Honor equivalent set during Vietnam, because this feels very much like what that would have been.
Honestly, because EA.
Ugh. EA. Although, you know, they're not doing too bad these days. What with Jedi Fallen Order, which I still need to actually finish or play at all.
Yeah, but one game does not make up for years upon years upon years of problems.
Really? My water gauge is down? I turned that off. I don't know if food and water is really a necessity in a first-person shooter, though. I mean, in an RPG, it works, but I think he's going a little too complex with that.
I don't know. For Stalker or something like that, yeah, I'll say it's a necessity. For this, maybe. It may be a little bit overkill.
Yeah, I think he's trying to show off just a little too much. Just a little.
As for the Ruger 5.7, actually looking very forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to the Diamondback PDX.
It is kind of funny. In 2020, there's all these new and innovative things coming out, whereas just a couple years ago, you know, InRange was like, well, there's not really anything new coming out anymore. Well, oops.
Oh, yes and no. I mean, last year's SHOT Show was really big about armor and accessories. It wasn't that big on actual guns. This year, it's about guns and ammo, and we're still seeing armor go pretty far, but last year's focus was really mostly on knives, accessories, equipment, clothing, armor.
God damn it.
And ballistic shields. Bong 264, having fired a USAS-12, get a Saiga. Get a Saiga clone. It's far superior. You have really good access to really good magazines and drums. It's far easier to maintain. It will last longer between cleanings, and it's a Kalashnikov. It's durable. It's going to work.
There's a whole bunch of those semi-auto shotguns coming out recently. Like bullpups and weird things like that. For me, living in the middle of Houston, shotguns really aren't that interesting because all you can do is shoot slugs here. But if you live in like the desert or someplace where you can actually set up... Okay, I'm just going to run right on top of him and shoot him. Because holy crap, I would like to see more games actually have, you know, like entrenched, you know, light machine gunners, because that guy was really legitimately difficult to kill. That really does mix up the gameplay a little bit. And, yeah, man, he moved on to other projects. Now, unrelated to SHOT Show... Oh, yeah, Ruger 5.7, before I forget. I considered picking one of those up, but ultimately I decided just to save the money. Because it's cool and all, but...
I'd wait. Because right now we don't know if we're going to see 30-round magazines or magazine extensions for them. If we do, yeah, then consider it. Because now you have everything the FN 5.7 has and more for less money.
Pretty much anything is less than that. I think that's like a $2,000 pistol.
$1,700.
And of course you add in tax and transfer fees.
No, it's $1,700 with tax. The MSRP is like $15. By the time you got everything you need for it, it's $17. You can find them for $12 if you know where to shop around, but still, it's not cheap.
I don't know what an Onto is. I assume that's some sort of... Oh crap! I probably should have more than fists out. I'm assuming that's some sort of AA gun, maybe? Something like that? Really? I've got all those pickups and I didn't even get a goddamn grenade? Escape the camp.
Corey, that was actually on last year's SHOT Show. Apparently, Israel Weapon Technologies has something going on. Nobody's been able to review it, so we'll find out if it's any good or not.
You know, like augmented reality sighting systems. That could be good, but all that's just one more thing that can go wrong.
Well, no, it technically it could work just as well as any standard red dot. It just if anything, it could outline, figures. In which case, hey, that's great for visibility, but it could also be a massive distraction. We just got to wait till it's reviewable.
Holy shit! Unrelated to that, I'm actually in some sort of armored fighting vehicle. I'm not gonna say tank, because it's not actually a tank, but it's like you can actually control a tank in Doom, no less. In Doom. In Doom. It's like the future, man. In the year 2020, you will be able to control vehicles in Doom. Welcome to the future. Now, one other cool thing from the SHOT Show, I don't know if I... Oh, yeah, did I mention that? I don't know if I told you this or if I mentioned it in the chat, but the alien pistol that's come out.
It's a Lago Alien. Yeah. It's expensive, but it's a competition pistol. That kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah, $5,000 competition pistol that looks really cool and actually has some interesting elements to it, like it uses a gas piston. That actually I think would be worth the $5,000 because it actually, goddammit, is something different versus just sort of more of the same, or something that's kind of like looks really fancy but ultimately isn't really. I don't really want to say not worth much, but isn't really what I would think would be worth the price. Like, say, Les Bear 1911. It's like, is that 1911?
Les Bear 1911. Here's the thing with Les Bear. Him, like Bill Wilson or Larry Vickers, you're paying for the guy's time. The guy is sitting there, like I am, fitting the slide to the rail system. He's deburring everything. You're paying for hard work is what you're paying for. If you just want a defensive pistol or a defensive 1911, go ahead and get yourself a Rock Island. If you're wanting something which, gets every last little bit of potential accuracy and performance as well as reliability out of a 1911, you're either doing it yourself or you're calling up Bill Wilson, Larry Vickers, Les Bear, or Jerry Micklick. That's it.
Here, I was trying to be fancy and pronounce it the French way. It's not Les Bear, it's Les Bear. Oh, it's probably like Leslie or something.
Yep.
For some reason, I was thinking of some kind of French
Don't
thing.
feel bad. Everybody makes that mistake.
Not Les Bear, it's Les. Is he located in the south? I'm willing to bet he is. Because Les is a very southern name. Actually, I have a relative named that. I find it funny that Leslie was actually... Well, there's Leslie Nielsen, but still. That at one point that was a perfectly acceptable male name.
Tech, you can actually get your 1897 trench gun. There's a company called IAC Imports. It's a Chinese clone, but it's 100% parts correct.
Good love, good old Norinco. If only we could get some Chinese firearms, because I would love to get, because the Canadians get them, one of those Chinese clones of the Colt Woodsman.
Yeah, I can see that. That would be rather nice.
If it's not that... Did I just get blown up? I think I did. Yeah, I did. No, get back in the tank! Well, it's not really a tank, but whatever. Get back in the
Corey, the Tavor 12 gauge, it's interesting. It does have some quirks. I'll suggest waiting just a little bit on it, because when my time shooting it, I actually over-torqued the cylinder, and it didn't quite line up, so I had to reverse. Now, give it a little bit of time and a little bit of training, and that's no longer a problem. But that's a problem I encountered at the range.
Crap.
It shot well, though.
Yeah, right. Hey, wait, was that... Okay, good. I thought that was a star. I thought that was actually an American thing. It's like, wait, no! I swear, I think this graphics card is going out. It started skipping for a moment, or it could have been the game. I'm not sure.
It could be the game, because this is pushing a lot of scripts to get it running. Even for Doom, this is really kind of pushing the bleeding edge.
Yeah, pretty much. We got some Sheridans. I always like the Sheridan because it's a really small tank that is actually... Oh, wait, there's a helicopter. Oh, it's just going to end poorly. Oh, it's just going to end...
You're going to like the PSA Spiker then. That thing is looking pretty nice.
What's the objective? Destroy all VC tanks. Okay, that. Oh god, this is not going to end well. The controls are always better than Battlefield Vietnam's. I could never fly the helicopter in that. Oh yeah, this is really, really starting to skip around a little bit. So it is the game, thankfully. I've actually had more difficult with this PC build than other ones. Had a lot of skipping issues, but the latest Windows update actually fixed it. I think Windows 10 has problems. Just a few.
Yeah, so much so that I'm actually considering going to Zorin OS as my main OS. I have it as a secondary, but I'm thinking about making it my main.
Crap. I mean, this is just utterly amazing. I mean, look at this. Flying a helicopter in a Doom engine game.
UH-1 Iroquois.
A Doom engine game with actual... And this actually controls remarkably well. I mean, back in the 90s, this would have been utterly... Oh, crap, no! Nobody saw that. I'm like just smashing into everything. But back in the 90s, this would have been seen as like the fever dream of a madman.
Yeah, it kind of is, but, you know, it's an actually applicable fever dream of a madman.
And it works remarkably well. I mean, this runs a lot better than some of the other really high-class mods that I've tried. Like, Wolf and Doom runs like shit for some reason. Blade of Agony, that's the specific Wolf and Doom mod! I hope those are actually enemy tanks that I'm blowing up. I can't really tell. Ooh, I might have actually shot one on my own side. Ah, well, I mean, friendly fire is, not as bad.
It's a thing. Friendly fire isn't, but it is a thing.
Alright, so I think that's the entire alpha. I think. Yep, that is the entire alpha for this. Holy shit. If this is just the alpha, what's the full release going to be? I'm not actually going to end the stream because I haven't been going that long. But holy crap. Oh yeah, the trench gun. Unethical. That always... that is just kind of hilarious to me. And it goes to show you the nature of, like, politics. It's like, that's evil! Wait, but we got gas, machine guns, landmines, barbed wire. And it's like, well, it's just too mean. And they weren't even used in any real numbers from what I've heard recently. Okay, so this is a sneak peek for next week. Next week I'm going to run a bunch of N64 games, but here is one of my favorites from when I was a kid. Army Men, Sarge's Heroes. This is not aged well. I tried it last night. Oh my good god, are the controls horrible. I mean, they are terrible. I mean...
Base game's got frozen.
Oh, oops. Well, that's annoying. Okay, let's deactivate. Activate. Aha, there we are. If it was the future, nothing would work. Ah, the old Rumble Pack. Find and rescue Grim and escort Grim to the helipad. Okay, so here is the short and dirty explanation of what this game is. So, cast your mind back to the 1990s. 3DO was a company that made the 3DO console, but they also made games. And they came upon the idea of, well, what if you turn Plastic Army Men into sort of like a Toy Story, but more violent? And there you go. Now, this is a game that really needs a second analog stick. It does not have one because the N64 doesn't have one, and it doesn't use Turok controls, where the C buttons are basically another analog stick. That means this is going to suck. And I used to love this game so much as a kid, and it has aged so poorly over the years.
Well, the original Army Men game, the real-time strategy game, actually still pretty good.
Yeah, but that's RTS. You can actually use a mouse. You're not trying to use one analog stick in what is obviously a dual analog stick game. Oh, I can hear that. Oh, crap. Oh, crap. I'm dead, kids. I have to plant my feet if I want to shoot this guy. Oh, yeah, this game's also really hard. So, like, he took off half my health. So, like, you can kind of get used to it. I must have as a kid. But, damn. Okay, let's save again. Now, there were a shitload of these Sarge Heroes games. This got pretty popular back in the day. Sarge here also has, like, a blue-haired girlfriend, and she got her own game for the PS2 called, like, Portal Runner, I think. Because, you know, you gotta have that blue-haired girlfriend. At least that was before blue hairs were a bad thing.
This is back when colored hair was pretty much still punk, as opposed to being whatever the hell it is now.
Okay, there we go.
Other than a warning sign that the person's mentally unstable.
Got him. Got him. I totally did not need to use a sniper rifle from, like, 5 feet away, but I did. Why? Because Sarge. Sarge kind of became a character, but not really. It's one of those games where, like... Okay, now... Oh, that's the control... That's the camera. Actually, this fixes it a little bit. Still trying to figure out the controls because I've not played this in probably a decade or more at this point. Isn't there a zombie level? I have no idea. Edward Cullen, the guy who played Edward Cullen, actually voiced somebody. I would have to look that up. I don't know if I believe that. Wouldn't he be like really young at this point, though?
Yeah, because this was 2000 at the latest.
This was 99. At least that's what the copyright date was. Now, the one Army Men game I played the most of. Wow, that is a 3D model. That is the stuff of legend right there. That probably took like 20 man-hours to make. It just looks like shit. Coming back to some of these N64 games just do not age well. Also,
we had render limits. We had, you know, this how many polygons this machine can push, and you can't go any higher.
Also, apparently... Oh, crap, there's a tank. There's a tank, and all I've got is, I guess, a Brin gun. I'm thinking this is a Brin gun. It looks like a Brin gun. Kind of. Well, it doesn't look like much.
Like a Brin gun.
Yeah, so it's like... But then you got a Brin gun, and then you've got... I'm still trying to figure out the controls here. Then you got, like, a fucking M16 here, so it's like... The ammo is a bit... Or the guns are a bit schizophrenic. It's like partially World War II, partially Vietnam, and I'm just being shot to pieces because I'm just running at them.
Like the green plastic Army Men, they never had standardized weapons. You have some with 1911s, some with M16s, some with, you know, World War II flamethrowers.
I wonder if they still make those. I would imagine so. But the quality is probably complete crap. Speaking of World War II flamethrower... And since they're made out of plastic, I'm at least trying to get through one of these levels. Like, this analog stick is just painful. It's just... I don't know how we did it back in the day. I don't... It's like... Was it always that bad? I mean, this is still kind of impressive, but... Well, I was going to say it's impressive, but he's stuck in just a basic walk cycle. Oh, there goes the frame rate. There goes the frame rate. You start shooting off flames. I remember Turok 2 being really bad about that. When you let off that flamethrower, it went down from like... It went from like, at most 20 FPS to like 5.
Oh, the average frame rate in Turok 2 is around 15 frames per second. You got the expansion pack equipped.
It was that bad? I don't remember being that horrible.
It was that bad.
I guess you just kind of got used to it. Oh, crap. I guess it's one thing you just kind of got used to as time went along. Because this is a lot worse than I remember. I mean, this is still actually... This would be a lot more fun if I could control it a little bit better. It still isn't that bad right now, but... Oh, man. We got a bazooka. Which means we can try to shoot that tank. Try being the operative word. Because, like, it's really hard to convey just how stiff this really is. And it's also really hard to see anything. Because... Oh, there's a tank. Okay, let's... Like, trying to shoot this tank is way harder than you think. Because just pointing at it... Well, now I can't see anything, but whatever. And there with the frame rate again. When I blew it up. Yeah, it's still working pretty well. Although, why there's random, like... Card? Oh, crap! Oh, crap. This is not ending well. See, like, it's very hard to react to anything that happens, because they can... And I'm dead. They can react a lot faster than you. Because you have to, like, plant your feet, turn around, hope you can shoot him in time. And now I'm on fire. And he's shooting at me. Okay, run. Get to some sort of cover.
And yes, Jim Cummings, the man who plays Winnie the Pooh and the Terror Mask from Splatterhouse.
Jim Cummings voices. Well, there's barely any voice acting in this. Oh yeah, Mail Call was awesome. I remember that show from back. I think it extended past when I was a kid. Oh, see, it's like I cannot react in time to kill those guys. And then, okay, just reload the save. Okay, I'm just gonna run. Fuck it. Too late. Yeah, go, Sarge, go. Crap! And I forgot the controls. Get him!
It's like early siphon filter. The controls are rough.
Get him! Just turning and shooting is so stiff. So stiff. I can make a horror... I probably shouldn't say that because YouTube will complain. It's about as stiff as I am when a new Hitomi video is released.
Dish.
And like trying to snipe this guy. Okay, first I have to actually remember the controls here. Oh, and sniper scopes could actually zoom in and out. Well, games still do that. No, turn around! Turn around, Sarge, you can do it! Winback didn't have this problem, but then Winback was like from 2001.
But yeah, Winback was essentially pretty groundbreaking for what it was. It basically provided the formula for games like Gears of War.
And Resi 4.
Yeah.
Alright, we're going to try to slowly... big shot again.
And no tech, that's called nostalgia.
Oh, come on. Switch weapons, please. Good thing these guys don't do too much damage. I think there's some sort of issue where they can shoot through the boxes. Because that should be cover, and they're shooting through the boxes. Not that that's going to really... I keep hitting the second... oh, you can strafe left and right. Kind of. That still doesn't help with the camera. GoldenEye also had that problem where the camera was directly controlled by the... where the camera and movement was controlled by the analog stick, which it worked a lot better in that game. It does not work that well here. Colonel Grimm. The Bravo
well, these days we got fans remaking GoldenEye for the PC. We've already got the multiplayer pretty much nailed.
See, for me the multiplayer's less just a plastic wound. Da 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 blah. So yeah, it's like Toy Story, except with a lot more murder and death. And of course, we have an escort mission with really shitty controls. I remember this as a kid.
Existence.
Okay, there we go. We're just gonna just tap on the stick. Okay, so there is a first person. It's like, I could try to get cover, but he's gonna shoot me the entire time I'm trying to get to cover, so it's not even really worth it. Save. No wonder this game was so hard to complete back in the day. I can blame it on the controls. Please don't shoot him. Please don't shoot him. He's probably got like 3 hits. And I can barely shoot you myself. Oh god, I remember this. The Minesweeper. Oh my god. I mean, this is very... This... They're trying something new here.
Well, everybody was trying something new in the 90s and 2000s. The thing is, new, as much as I love the innovation of the age, new did not always mean good.
Like this, where you're trying to detect the mines, and then the tank immediately shows up and starts blasting away at you. Toy soldiers. Well, there's Warhammer. Yeah, like you will basically lose all money. Like, all money.
Yeah, as someone who plays Warhammer and has played it for over 25 years, I would consider spending your money elsewhere, because it's gotten so expensive and so ridiculous now that unless you're seriously into planning out everything, and I mean really planning out everything, I would not advise it. It's just too expensive.
Yeah, it's not like that one, the Thunderhawk. Isn't that like almost the price of a car?
No, the Thunderhawk gunship is originally, when it released back in the 90s, it was $600. Now that was a 13-pound pewter miniature. Not much mini about it at that point.
Yeah.
And now it's all resin, and if you get the official one from GW, you're looking at $1,200. Although honestly, this is kind of skirting the edge of it. If you really need it, just go Yar Harm AT. Get it from China, get it from Russia, get a pirated version. It's just as good, if not better,
Come on,
and it's half the price.
I've got a grand total of 2 mortar shots left. I'm gonna have to like lead him or something. No wonder I sucked with this game as a kid. Come on, tank. Oh, he's not gonna. That's a waste. You know, if that had actually hit that tank, I would have felt really good about myself. Alas, that was not to be. Come on, please hit it, please hit it, please hit it, please hit it. Of course it didn't hit it. Alright, well, let's see if he'll, like, leave me alone and I can, like, get through the minefield.
Realistically, you don't need to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars for Warhammer. You can focus on the troops and light vehicles, small vehicles that you can buy off the shelf. Forge World stuff is stupid expensive.
Okay, let's get some cover. Please tell me I somehow picked up a bazooka shot. Nope, I did not. He's going to shoot me and blow him up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and he's not even dead! And since somebody mentioned Army Men Air Attack, actually, do I even have that on here? Ah, fuck it, we'll do it next time. Alright, I am General Lotz. Almost said Battlefield Vietnam. Doom, Viet Doom, is quite good. The alpha is well worth playing. I'm quite surprised that it's as good as it is. The gameplay is really some of the best Doom gameplay I've ever played, really. I mean, it's a little too difficult for my taste. Like, it is bordering on simulation, even on the easiest of difficulties. But still, I think Sergeant Mark IV has kind of outdone himself on that.
Yeah, it's only going to get better, because by the time it's finally released, you'll have people making map packs and custom WADs for it. So there's a lot of potential there.
And we've also played a little bit of Sarge's Heroes. I'm going to try to get through some of the levels in the next week's live stream. That game is aged not gracefully at all, but it's kind of fun still, kind of. But for now, I am General Lotz, wishing you good more Viet Doom. Oh yeah, say again.
And I'm Radic.
And we can wish you good Viet Doom, whatever makes you happy.